Welcome back to the ASUG News Studio, sponsored by Optimal Solutions. We are delighted to have Sam Sliman in here, the president of Optimal Solutions. Sam, thank you for being here.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Tom.
I should say welcome to your home here. Thank you.
That's
You're
right.
our sponsor. We appreciate that.
I like seeing the Optimal logo all over the place.
Absolutely. Well, we got some good stuff to talk about today. Big data, I know, is on the top of your radar. We were talking about it previously on the phone, talking about some of the interesting things. What ASUG members should think about. Do I even have a big data problem?
Right.
What's your perspective when you're talking with clients about big data? What are you hearing from them, and then how do you guys kind of work about to approach that and help them with their issues?
Yeah, sure. I think our customers are all very interested in the topic of big data, extremely interested in the topic of big data. It's not just hype. There's no question in my mind at this point that this is real and that there is real value there. I think where customers struggle is figuring out where to start first, because there is so much data about so many different topics coming from so many different places within their companies that they're trying to figure out, where do we start? What is that use case that makes the most sense for us?
Are they, we see statistics, Bridget's keynote this morning was just talking about how we are awash in data.
Right.
Are they feeling overwhelmed? I mean, you're getting that sense that they know that? I mean, even though they're hearing the hype, but they're actually seeing it on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. I do think that companies of all types are awash in data. There's no question about it. And the types of data are changing. It's not just the typical structured data that you see in your Oracle database or in your SAP system. It's different. It's video. It's unstructured data that's coming in from social networks, social media networks. And it's the type of data is proliferating and the volume of data is proliferating. And also the granularity of data. So whereas you might have taken a reading from a meter, say for example, once an hour, now you're taking it 6 times an hour, or you're taking it even more often than that. So the granularity of the data, the type, and the volume, they're all increasing. And customers are definitely feeling overwhelmed because they want to make sure that they make good decisions.
Right.
And they want to make sure that they make quick decisions. And the more complicated that the data gets, the more data that there is there, it makes it more difficult to make a good decision and make a decision quickly.
Well, that's what it all is at the end of the day, right? It's making better decisions for your business.
That's right.
So what is Optimal Solutions' approach to helping customers? Like I come in, I say, Sam, I got a big data problem, help me.
Right.
What do you guys do?
Right. That would actually be a good situation.
Right. Doesn't usually happen that easy.
No, it doesn't. I think, as I said, I think that people have this sense that they have a problem, and yes, they want the speed that something like SAP HANA brings to them, but they're trying to figure out, where do I start? Because there's so many different big data problems that they're not quite sure where to go. So what we recommend is that you start with an assessment offering, and you get together this small core group of people to talk about, where does it make sense? And the first part of that conversation is usually orienting people around the big data problem and what's possible now, because with in-memory technology, people don't, I think, fully appreciate what you can do now with the technology that's available. So
what aren't they getting? I mean, SAP certainly is not shy about marketing. They've got a lot of customers. Right. What's happening?
It's a great question, and I like to think of it as the Moore's law has caught up with us. The law that says that the processor power doubles in speed every 18 months.
Right.
It's actually not Moore's law. I've looked into this extensively. He actually said every 24 months that the number of transistors that can fit on a chip would double. And that has held true since he said that. It's actually been a little faster than that. And this is the same thing with data. The amount of data that we have is just exponentially growing and growing and growing. And so you can start the decade like I did when I had a cell phone, I had a Palm Pilot, I had a laptop, I had all these different devices. I had 10 pounds of chargers. I'm lugging this stuff around on an airplane, and it was very uncomfortable and it was very heavy. You start the decade like that in the 2000s, you end it with an iPhone.
Right.
And the iPhone is more powerful than all 3 of those devices combined were. My laptop was physically incapable of playing Angry Birds in the year 2000. You just couldn't do it.
Right.
So Moore's Law is kind of catching up with us. what we used to think were constraints aren't constraints anymore. And so what we didn't realize until now that we've been relieved of these constraints is that now our problems aren't as constraining as we thought they were. And so I think what this is going to do is open up just a tremendous amount of innovation in terms of the creativity that people really bring to the table using SAP HANA as the technology.
Is this an IT problem, or, I mean, how much, I mean, we always talk about business users need to be in, but it seems like big data is kind of getting thrown into IT, but I'm going to guess you're going to say it's not just an IT problem.
Well, hey, if you can double the amount that you sell to a customer, is that an IT problem? If you can sell more different things to the same customers that you have, if you look at the 80-20 rule and you're getting 80% of your revenue from 20% of your customers, if you can make that the 90-10 rule, you know, would you do that? Yeah, that's not, you would do that. And that's not an IT problem, that's a business problem. I think at this point, we're only constrained by the solutions that we can envision. And I think we're a little bit handicapped. A lot of people who've been in IT for a while, you're a little bit handicapped, and we haven't shown that creativity that we need to show in order to bring big data under control.
So what's Optimal Solutions SAP HANA approach to trying to help with that? How are you guys working with your customers? What's the plan there? Yeah,
the plan is we identify those customers who we think have the worst problems, who really, and really, we shouldn't pose it in terms of problems, it's opportunity. Who has the most opportunity? Who can really move the needle? If they can take gigabytes, terabytes, exabytes, yottabytes, there's literally
Did you say yottabyte?
There is a yottabyte named after the Star Wars character.
Not know that.
You look it up. It's true. It's true. You know, if you can help a customer make sense of that sort of magnitude of data, and not every customer has the huge big data problem. Retail is sort of on the leading edge. You know, they're generating data from their traditional transactions through point of sale. They're generating data through catalogs. They're generating data through their online stores, through their regular brick and mortar stores. That's a lot of data. And they're adding video to the mix. And a lot of these companies have very visible brands, so there's a lot of chatter on social media networks about these companies. And so they probably have one of the worst big data problems, but no one is immune to the big data problem.
We talked a little bit about before, what are some of the challenges that an ASUG member watching this thinking, I got to address this, I got to elevate this to the board level. What are the challenges, or what types of things should they anticipate that you've learned in your experience?
Yeah, I think, first of all, you should try and get started soon, early and often, because there is no question that what I call the architecture of analysis is changing. There used to be a standard architecture in terms of how you analyze data. The data warehouse, the data mart, the star schema, a relational database with maybe a MOLAP engine. That was the traditional architecture of analysis. But within memory technology and with SAP HANA specifically, the architecture of analysis is changing, and that means that your skills as a company need to change. And so the earlier you start learning, the earlier you start working your way up that experience curve, the better off you're going to be in the long run. The folks who are not looking at in-memory technology right now and what it can do for them, and they're not building those skills internally, and they're not doing proofs of concept and getting their feet wet, are going to be the ones who fall behind, because everyone else is going full steam ahead right now.
What are you hearing from customers who are interested but may not have the resources or the expertise? How are they, because HANA's so new, I mean, there's a company like yours can come in, what are they looking for from you specifically when it comes to building use cases for HANA? I mean, speed obviously is good, but beyond that, what's the business case for that?
Well, if you look at the HANA roadmap, it's not just about the architecture of analysis. It's not just for speeding up your BW system, for example, although that's a terrific first use case. If you look down at the roadmap, then eventually the actual core, the transaction processing system, is going to run on HANA. And I don't think there's any company too small to be looking at this right now, because ultimately this may be how you run your entire company, and it probably won't take 10, 20 years to get there. This is probably a development that's going to take place here sometime in the next 3 to 5 years.
Wow, that soon? You think that soon?
No question. No
and if they're not preparing right now, what should they do?
How many times do we need to see this movie? Right.
We know how it ends if they don't.
Yes, you should continually invest in your infrastructure. You should continually be aware of what your competitors are doing.
And partners like yourself out there, is this? I mean, from SAP's point of view, it seems like a hot market. From you,
Right.
do you have a lot of competition out there, and how are you guys trying to differentiate yourself?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of competition, but I think that in any market you have to choose your battles. And you just can't go to market with a very generic, hey, we make HANA work for you. And so what we're trying to do is focus in a couple of key markets, retail being one of them, utilities being another, public sector being another, and really show that we have not only the ability to make HANA work, but also we have the business process knowledge. We have the experience being in the industry that our customers are in for a very long period of time. Consumer packaged goods is another one. It's tightly intertwined with retail. But these are all industries that we've been working in for almost 17 years. And so we feel like we have a real differentiator in terms of our subject matter expertise there.
What about being an SAP partner? I mean, for years, there was, the partner ecosystem, everyone else revolved around SAP was the sun. But now it seems like they're kind of branching out. It's not just that. Can you talk about that? Are you seeing that?
I've worked with a number of different software companies in my career, and I've always found SAP to be the most partner friendly. And I really credit that to a group of leaders at the top who acknowledge that they can really learn from partners and partners' experiences. And SAP has always embraced partnership, not only with other software companies who fill in gaps, so to speak, but also with services companies who have lots of intellectual property related to business process and change management and things like that. And so I really credit SAP with knowing what they're good at and being really good. I love the technology innovation and the agenda and the pace and the tempo that's been set, especially in the last 2 years. And I think as long as we can keep working with customers and taking all those innovations and blending them into our customers' landscapes and making sure that they work and that customers are getting value out of it, this is a great partnership.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the sponsorship of the studio.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Well, that wraps up our coverage for today. We will be back tomorrow at Tuesday at 11 a.m. with more great interviews.